Now let's talk about an anime that most people never heard or reviewed called The Island of Giant Insects. The creator is Yasutaka Fujimi, the publisher is Akita Shoten, and the studios who animated this is Passion, known for their making a High School DxD and interspecies reviewers. This anime is about a group of students surviving a plane crash and stumbling across an island full of giant insects. Now, if you've seen the trailer, let's just say it's not too good, where they show off the giant insects in its glorious CGI animation, looking like PS2 graphics. Now, I was following the anime waiting for its release and I got bored of waiting, so I decided to read a manga. And let's just say there's a lot of lewd scenes, art at PE, and just weird crap. Not only that, but the manga isn't finished, so seeing the movie being released, I'm just curious if it's gonna follow the same thing in the manga or change a few scenes. And just heads up, I'm gonna censor a lot of these scenes for the start of this video. Whatever the case, let's get on with the review. This is just the first few seconds and it's already different from the manga. In the manga, we started off in the plane already flying and we see the plane being crashed, and then cut to Mitsumi waking up from the plane crash. So in the movie, we start off at the airport, and no one's here moving, just staring, gazing at each other. Hello? Oh, finally someone moved. Calm down, it's just a bee, an ugly one. So we get introduced with the characters, well, introduced as in showing who the cast. Yeah, it's really lazy and pointless since we get introduced later down, but who cares? We should see there are future victims. Mitsumi, the main protagonist, wakes up and searches for her things, then goes in panic mode after seeing the hand. She managed to stumble across Marusoka. Now, I'm going to refer her as Captain. One, I'm not good with Japanese names, and two, that's what most of the cast refer to her as. So the book goes on trying to find any survivors. Mitsumi, who's a bug expert, manages to pick up some subtle hints of the island weirdness, foreshadowing future events. So we cut the different scenes where we see the rest of the cast, and we see the Three Stooges are here trying to pick open a vending machine. Now, I think they're justifying opening after surviving a plane crash. Here we get officially introduced with a cast of survivors. Chitose, the class rep, Kai, the tech dude, Mami, the class idol, Jino, just Jino, Kamijo, the gangster kid, Ino, the hiker, and Pompadour and Chubby. So later, after getting water for the boys, the group of survivors tries to discuss different methods of contacting for help and the weirdness of this island until Ino decides to take a piss in the forest. Before she can even use the restroom, out of nowhere, a giant butterfly basically comes out of nowhere and in true Nazi for work fashion, wraps around her mouth and her ass and then begins to suck her dry. Wait a minute. So as the group of survivors realize they're being attacked by a giant group of butterflies, most panic, and Simps, seeing their queen getting attacked by a giant butterfly, try to save her, but eventually Chubby gets stabbed in the stomach, and Pompadour gets stabbed in the eye, and both die. Mitsumi comes out of the bushes and saves them by making a makeshift flamethrower. What? Hurt the insect? Did you just see it kill 3 people and you feel bad for it? So to give you a heads up, she has feeling for bugs and them being harmed. Yeah, that's a problem. So after solving a terrible counter, the group try to come up with a plan, and we get one of the most Skyrim levels of dialogue I have ever seen. So the protagonist says that help will arrive in 3 days, and for some reason Fresh Cut here is getting pissed off at her. But by that fact, like bro, why are you pissed at her? She said that help would come in 3 days. She can't control that. And then Chitose says it's not her fault. Like, when was this her fault? She just stated a fact. She said help will arrive in like a few days. What? She just said like, oh, they're gonna come, so that way it'll be faster. So after that terrible dialogue, the group hears a helicopter, but instead of finding a helicopter, they encounter a giant wasp with terrible CGI and carries Chitose with it, and stabbing her with a venom and begins carrying her back to the nest. The protagonist, with her encyclopedia knowledge of bugs, says they got time to save her before they implant eggs inside of her, and we get one of the most hentai levels of imagery I have ever seen.
ありゃ確実に死んだろ。
だね。
俺は死んだ人間より。
Hey, it brings up a decent argument.
けど、委員長は家族でもダチでも何でもねえからな。
Never mind, he's just an asshole. Eventually, Fresha gives in and goes along with the plan in rescuing her. Upon reaching the nest, it noticed that the houses became wasp nests and went inside to check for her. Upon reaching the houses, the group opened the doors and sees humans being used as feedings for the lava. The group get horrified by the encounter. Manga comparison time. In the manga, the people who are being eaten by the lava were eaten through the bones, living in a hellish state. In anime, they seem to be okay, or hell, they're enjoying themselves. Then after the shock, the end starts killing them. But the protagonist just says they'll kill them. They can't fight back. Like what? First of all, they're eating people and crawling on them so they can eat them as well. So yeah, give me a bat. I'm just gonna start smashing them myself. So the gang, in a frenzy, quickly pussy out and run outside upon seeing a woman asking for help. Manga comparison time. In the manga, they never pussied out, but instead kill all the larvae and search through the corpses to find Chitoso. Mitsuki, still motivated to save her, encourages the others to find her, but Kai finds a working phone on a dead body when running out. Before the crew can call it quits, Freshka finds his friend being carried by a wasp and starts to chase it down. Eventually, gets there, but encounters a fight against one of the wasps.
Mitsumi, running his hill, comes try to help him by spraying hairspray onto the bug, but Freshka is just too selfish and only cares in saving his friend and leaves her for dead. The others spraying what seems to be water, it's actually hairspray mixed in with water, pours around the house, and we get a good action scene of the wasps fighting each other, Mitsumi trying to escape, and her quick thinking actually paid off when the bugs began fighting each other, and the gang quickly escaped. She explains about why the wasps attacked each other.
あれは私がジガバチにヘアスプレーをかけたから、新しく来たジガバチはその匂いに刺激されて攻撃。
But as the saying goes, out of the frying pan into the fryer, and they get stumbled across a nest full of ticks. Hey, at least the ticks aren't CGI but hand-drawn. Cool. Mitsuri comes up with a plan suggests that everybody should walk in a snail pace and have their hands underneath their armpit to control their body heat and monitor their heartbeat. The gang so far does a pretty good job trying to get to the forest until they stumble across the survivor. As soon as they get close to the survivor, they realize that her face filled with a swarm of ticks. Mommy eventually breaks down and panics, quickly alerting the ticks. Mitsumi comes up with a plan, having her as a distraction, pushing her aside to be swallowed whole, while the others escaped quickly. After surviving the encounter, the group bathed themselves to remove any ticks that might have attached to them. And now I'm going to skip this scene. First of all, it's just going to show a lot of nudity, which, I'm not going to show. Instead, and it's just like a lesbian scene, which I'm just going to skip. You perverted bastards. Wanted to mention one of the group has a parasite inside of him, so keep that in mind later. Eventually, the survivors find a clinic, so they start searching for medical supplies to remove the toxins from their bodies. With no luck in making them drink it, Mitsumi gives her CPR to forcefully drink the medicine, and she succeeds in doing so. Kamijo has to do the same thing as well, and none of the girls wants to volunteer.
Ha! Gay!
And we get to see a scene where the parasite gets closer to their brain. As for Kai, he begins searching through the computer, but eventually has no luck. Instead, turns on the power for the gang and finds some rations for the group. And Kai goes for another journey around the clinic and finds a research area and encounters something horrifying and begins to scream. The gang, horrified by what they heard, before they can even react, Akira, the dude who's been laying there, and starts to get possessed by the parasite inside of him, and starts running outside, screaming towards the outside like a retard. And for some reason, everyone wants to go on a field trip and went outside as well. Here's some information about the anime that never bothered to explain. So here, let me explain. So apparently he had like a bad blueberry or something. They had like a parasite inside of it, and it explains what kind of parasite it was in the manga. Akira, trying to climb onto the tower, begins to calling out for the predator. Before Freshka could try to help him, Jigglypuff here tries to stop him to give him some sense into him. A giant bat CGI bug comes and chops him in half. Thanks for the editing, by the way. So Jigglypuff knocks some sense into him, and both jolting inside leaves everyone out there to die. Why? This has to be one of the worst scenes in the movie that Ash has ever witnessed. And it's just here to bring drama and action. No one gives zero reasons why they did it. Like, they dislike each other, but it comes out of nowhere. It doesn't make any sense. It just feels forced. How are they going to leave the only person with actual knowledge to deal with the bugs to be left for dead? It's just a stupid scene that doesn't make any sense. It's just there to show how bad they are. So after that stupid scene, the class rep finally wakes up and she can't move. She tells her where Mitsumi and hears a door knocking outside, realizing them they've been locked out.
ちょっとリーダー、この女の口塞いでやっ
うち猿ぐ
Okay, so Kanija went from fresh cut to raping McGee. That fast. Luckily, Chad, like Kai, saves them by knocking them lights out of them, both of them. Before the three could get eaten, I want to point out this dialogue.
ちょっと守ってくれるって言ったのに約束が違うじゃない。
How the hell is she supposed to protect you for this unforeseen event? Whatever, they get rescued by Kai. So the gang comes up with a plan to kill the creature, and we get a guitar solo montage while she walks down the hallway, and this scene goes on far too long, about 1 minute and 20 seconds. It just feels an eternity. Finally, this cutscene is over and we get some action. Mitsumi lets a bug chase her around until she finally gets to the tower, removes the blanket showing the lights, and then fully turns on the power to kill the bug. Then she feels bad for killing the thing. Like, why? I get that you love bugs and respect them, but he just killed a dude. So they have this class rep be their leader and leave those two behind, which I say it's done better than the manga. Instead of leaving them behind, Mitsumi suggests they should take them with them, which is why. And in true Marvel fashion, we get an after credit scene suggesting a sequel, introducing one of my least favorite characters. Manga comparison time. This scene's completely different from the manga. Instead of Kai knocking them out, it was actually a giant crab. Since Googling about crabs, apparently they're part of the same family as insects. And so for the character that didn't even add, Shirikawa, Miki, she was basically used to be killed by the giant bug. The power didn't win out by the tower, but it electrocuted the crabs. And when it came about leaving them behind, Mitsumi suggested they should take them, which is, again, why? My problem is that the anime relies way too much on nudity scenes. The concept is there, but it's just plagued with them. There's a lot of scenes that's pretty gory in the manga, like the wasp nest, where you see the people look pretty well being devoured by larvas, but the manga goes all the way showing their bones. It seems like they went for more nudity than gore, while the manga did the opposite. Yes, they did show a lot of nudity, but it was censored and focused a lot on the gore aspect. The cast was underwhelming. Most of the characters don't feel like characters at all. All of them lack personality. It's just there to be killed. Some of them are just unlockable and annoying, while others get a bit more developed, but again, they have no personality at all. I wish we get some scenes where they could just settle down, get developed, talk about what they like, what they dislike. But since it's like a movie, but the movie has its runtime and we have to move on. Mitsumi and Kai feel like the characters are slightly above decent, even though I don't like Mitsumi. She has some character. As for Kai, he's not a bad character. I still like a more Mitsumi, but he doesn't have much personality. That's a problem. None of them has personality. Captain, Mami, Chadiso, I don't care. They hardly have any personalities other than being afraid or screaming. Captain at least tries to do something, but again, all of them just lack. Again, all of them were just boring. Chitoso is basically knocked down throughout the whole movie, and the other two, Gino and Kamijo, they're just unlikable at all. Kamijo, a selfish asshole, and basically a rapist. As for the rest of the group, they just feel unlikable, bland, and boring, with just one or two characters that are at least decent. There's not a lot of action scenes. If you're just here to watch some bugs getting shot at, or you just want to watch some bugs fighting each other, you're gonna be feeling underwhelmed in this anime. The pacing was good, doesn't feel rushed, while seeing it move along the plot pretty well. I'll give it that. As for the animation, the 2D is fine, but the CGI bugs just wow. It really does not work well. It just stands out way too much, especially the scene where Mami gets attacked by a butterfly. And here's some comparison from the manga. The bugs just look pretty cool, well drawn, but the CGI does not work well. Like the giant insect we see towards the end of the movie, the colors and the CGI just look like early 2000 animation. It's just awful. Some of the problems don't come from the anime, but the manga, where again it shows nudity and gore, and it's almost like a hentai than a proper anime. And as the characters, all of them, like Kamijo, is just written just like that in the manga. So to sum up my thoughts, it's a cool concept. They get stuck on an island full of gigantic bugs, and the characters try to find different way on outsmarting them, which I don't see too much anime or how modern movies do. But what ruins the movie is the nudity, bad animations from the bugs, awful and weak characters making it unenjoyable to see them succeed. Not a lot of action scenes. It's just lame to watch and unenjoyable. So will I recommend watching it? No. I'll tell you this, it's better reading the manga, where the characters do feel a bit more fleshed out. The bugs look pretty cool. You get some information about the bug each time the characters encounter the bugs. A lot more sick gore. Later down the manga, the action does get a lot better. It still has some of the same problems in the movie, but it's still pretty good reading it. So hopefully you guys enjoyed the review. Thanks for watching and bye.